Welcome back to Watch the Bookerman and to the third week of build to Destination X 2012. This is the first new video that I've recorded in like some months now, so if I'm a little bit rusty, that'll be why. But I am also going to show on screen what's gone on in the previous week's show before we get into this episode of Impact Wrestling. And the episode begins with a fantastic segment really, as the man in charge, Kurt Angle, comes to the ring to address comments made about his lack of control of Impact Wrestling. Specifically, CM Punk has been making these comments, kind of implying that if that power vacuum does appear once again, he is the one who is going to take advantage of it. Kurt Angle assures that he is doing everything that he can to make sure that the right balance is found between making the show entertaining and must-see every week, while not putting the competitors in any undue risk. That's not what Impact Wrestling wants. CM Punk comes out from the back and interrupts Kurt Angle as he's saying this and says quite simply, Angle is never going to have control of this locker room because Kurt Angle, basically calling him thick, has nothing between the ears. He was trained like a machine to become an Olympic gold medalist, molded by the best facilities on planet Earth to become the most gifted professional wrestler of all time. But when it comes to this, when it comes to running a show, there is no handbook and there is no strategy that Kurt Angle can employ to get himself out of this. He is way out of his depth, and with his wrestling career over, Kurt Angle should simply walk away from professional wrestling. For giving Jay Lethal a chance to be added to the World Championship match tonight for Destination X, he should resign on the spot. Kurt tells CM Punk not to push him. He doesn't need this. He's already very stressed. There's already a lot going on. But taking this literally, CM Punk pushes Kurt Angle. He mocks how Kurt can't do anything. He is not allowed to lay his hands on any of the competitors in Impact Wrestling. And while Kurt Angle can't do that, he's sure that one of the competitors in tonight's opening match wouldn't mind doing so, and he introduces AJ Styles to the ring. There is no physicality as CM Punk rolls out of the ring when AJ Styles arrives, but there is a brief face-to-face between the two, and we know the history between CM Punk and AJ Styles, a huge storyline at the end of 2011, and we're just showing that there are bits of that and bits of tension still between them, advancing and presumably gaining heat to 3 storylines with this segment. All green notes, so certainly no complaints for a fantastic start to the show. AJ Styles then faces Jay Lethal, and this is a really good match. Very, very happy with that. And basically, as Jay Lethal's bending of the rules seems to be turning the match in his favour, CM Punk comes out and actually, in a bizarre sort of twist, he wants AJ Styles to win this match so Jay Lethal isn't added. So he comes in and brings in a steel chair and tries to hit AJ Styles to cause the DQ that'll give AJ the win. So a little added perk there as well, that he gets to hit AJ with a chair. But AJ manages to duck, takes the chair from CM Punk and tries to hit him with a chair, but Punk gets out the way, and this leads to Jay Lethal being hit with a steel chair by AJ Styles. So a bit of a convoluted finish here. Instantly, the shock on AJ Styles' face as he hits Jay Lethal and the bell is rung. We realise what's happened here. Well, everybody but Jay Lethal does, to be fair. The commentator is explaining that he is now part of Destination X's main event, so it'll be CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy versus Jay Lethal. AJ Styles is furious at how this has gone down, throws the steel chair down and airs his frustrations at CM Punk, who is now at the bottom of the ramp and making his way up. Punk, of course, himself doesn't look too pleased. His involvement has backfired and left both men far from happy with the outcome. AJ Styles is telling CM Punk exactly how he feels about this, but the Impact World Champion understandably wants nothing to do with him. However, as Punk backs up the ramp, Jeff Hardy comes out and sort of delivers him back to the ring. He's seen what CM Punk's just done, and he thinks that AJ deserves that revenge. Styles goes back to the steel chair that he previously used and viciously lays into CM Punk, taking out all that frustration. A good moment of catharsis for him, and from the ramp, Jeff Hardy is smirking. AJ Styles leaving the ring, and our world champion has been laid out. It's a decent segment as the commentators then introduce footage which shows Steve Corino jamming a pen into the eye of Tyler Black last week on the show. This is because in tonight's main event, Tyler Black will be going one-on-one with Steve Corino, but when we cut to a promo from Tyler Black, we see that his eye hasn't recovered and he has an eye patch on. He says that despite that, he is going to give Steve Corino a beating tonight. Kurt Angle told Steve that if he wants to get physical, then he can do so in an official capacity, and Tyler Black is delighted to be the one to get him in the middle of the ring. However, Tyler makes it clear that he's not going to allow anything to distract him from the situation with Jimmy Jacobs, warning that if Jimmy's here or if he's watching somewhere, then he better keep a close eye on the main event. If Jacobs thinks that he's going to let Corino take the punishment on his behalf, then he's sadly mistaken. So that very personal element still there between Jacobs and Tyler Black, and once he's dealt with those two men, his focus is squarely on Destination X, one-on-one with Austin Aries. One eye or two, he's going to prove he is greater than the so-called greatest man that ever lived. So again, losing storyline heat, but it's a decent promo, I think. While he struggles when going off script, I'm not going to complain too much about a 70, and hopefully things that happen later in the storyline will get our heat back in time for the pay-per-view. In the back, the New Beautiful People show, still trying to find their feet. Angelina Love and Velvet Sky go behind the scenes ahead of their match with Sarita and Taylor Wilde tonight, as they talk about the match and the fact that their cameraman will be at ringside with them for exclusive extra content. They're confronted by Mickie James. Not sure if the word content would have been used back in 2012, but who knows. Mickie says that she's happy for Sarita and Taylor Wilde to put the Beautiful People in their place tonight, but she's got word from Angle that she can fight either one of the two women next week. The choice is theirs. Angelina Love quickly volunteers Velvet Sky for this, and Velvet does not look happy. Mickie James is more than happy though. She is ready to face Velvet Sky on next week's show. The second match of the night isn't very good, and it's because it's featuring somebody who we are trying to get over, Adam Pearce. Not that familiar to the Impact Wrestling audience, but he squashes and defeats Caleb Connolly in 2 minutes and 21 with a pile driver. Adam Pearce, like I said, as somebody who's not that over, it's not too bad of a performance from him, but yeah, it cools the crowd a little, and it's not that great. On the other side, it is only 2 minutes, so it's not that much of an issue for the wider show, I'd say. Taking a microphone following his decisive victory, and it's a decent segment here after Adam Pearce calls out the refereeing performance from his previous Evolve Wrestling title. Basically, he lost to D'Angelo De Niro, but his foot was under the rope, and referee Paul Turner missed this, and he demands that he gets another shot at the title. And here it's kind of the weird scenario in a storyline where the heel is very much justified, and nobody can deny that really. We're not trying to deny that, but the commentators do make it clear that whether it's on screen or off screen, Pearce just hasn't shut up about this perceived injustice for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and it's a bit rich coming from somebody who himself is known to bend the rules. Adam says that referees are being protected for their mistakes by Impact Wrestling management, and he's the only one who's being punished for their incompetence. He says that since the High Flyers in the Super X Cup have taken over Evolve Wrestling for the next month, he demands that Kurt Angle gives him that match with D'Angelo De Niro next week on this show. Instead of Angle, it is D'Angelo De Niro comes out, and he's not necessarily there to address Pearce's words. He instead just wants to take the mick out of Adam Pearce. Obviously, he's very smooth on the microphone, so just leave him to be unscripted and say some funny stuff about Pearce's hair or his attire or whatever he wants to do. Clearly just enjoying getting under the skin of the man who wants a shot at his title. And at the end of this, Pearce still doesn't have an answer to his challenge. The Pope sort of shrugs and says, yeah, he's more than happy to beat him again next week. It's no big deal for D'Angelo De Niro, who we're trying to present in this really cool way. Adam Pearce so riled up, so desperate to get this title shot, and De Niro's like, yeah, whatever, we'll go for it. We then get a recap of the brutal attack from the Briscoe Brothers to Beer Money 2 weeks ago, which has put both James Storm and Robert Roode on the sidelines. We get a promo from Jay and Mark Briscoe. They are back at their farm, and they say that they have got their answer. They return to an Impact Wrestling ring at Destination X. Jay says that he can't believe that that's what it took, but if violence is the only answer that this company understands, then they've come to the right place with Jay and Mark Briscoe. There's plenty more left where that came from, and while they came to Impact Wrestling after Ring of Honor shut down and tried to do things the right way, tried to bring their style of violence to the Impact Wrestling roster, it got them nowhere but sat on the bench. He wants to clear something up and says that when he compared their situation to that of Fortune, he was merely talking about the fact that they weren't being featured on the show, because that is where the similarities end between these two groups of people. while Jay and Mark were up here airing their grievances after a hard day's work at the farm, Fortune got to do it from a comfy studio with Mike Tenay on their guaranteed pay packets. The truth is that those four men don't know what hard work is really about, and that makes them the type of people that the Briscoes cannot stand, and it's going to be a great pleasure for them, after already taking beer money out of the picture, to do the same to Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels at Destination X. We then get the match that we spoke about earlier, Taylor Wilde and Sarita continuing to be a decent team now as they moved on from their feud with Hamada, defeating the Beautiful People in 7:22, Sarita pinning Velvet Sky with a double underhook powerbomb. We did set this on eye candy. Literally the only reason I did it is to get a better rating in the game, and we can see that it's worked because this match wouldn't be nearly as good if I'd set it as storytelling, steal the show, or anything else. But it gave the crowd a breather as well, so no complaints there. Yeah, I missed out the point here. The cameraman, who is being played by Rhett Titus, was at ringside. He was trying to help the Beautiful People, but Mickie James then came out and ran him off. So just even in the odds, not actually getting involved in the match herself, and that was what allowed Taylor Wilde and Sarita to pick up the victory. Coming out from the back, the Knockouts Tag Team Champions make their way to the ring and go face to face with the two women who have just won that match. Mara and Owl confirms that at Destination X, Sarita and Taylor Wilde will get a shot at Awesome Kong and Rosita. However, as these two teams just go face to face in a fairly understated segment, Alyssa Flash and Sarah Del Rey come to the top of the ramp. They're a newly formed team that have been impressing on Evolve and I think on Impact Wrestling. They're clearly interested in facing the winner of that match at the pay-per-view. Returning from the break, a beaten up and pissed off CM Punk looks to enter the office of Kurt Angle, only to be stopped by security. Taking this badly, he kicks off with the security, not like CM Punk to take issue with people of course, and he runs them down, absolutely going off on them. But to make matters worse, AJ Styles then walks out of Kurt Angle's office, obviously having had a one-to-one private conversation with Kurt Angle. Punk goes into a rage about this. He's suggesting that it's favoritism and that Kurt Angle and this company are setting out to make him fail. But AJ Styles instead suggests that Punk listens to what somebody has to say for once. AJ has spoken with Kurt Angle, and after Punk's involvement earlier in that match, AJ Styles is going to get another match with Jay Lethal again, with everybody barred from ringside. There can be no outside involvement. CM Punk saying that he has more important things to worry about than that. He needs to speak to Kurt Angle to sort out this situation of the triple threat at the pay-per-view. But AJ Styles adds that if he beats Jay Lethal, this is his issue, because AJ Styles 2 will be added to the main event of Destination X, so potentially getting a four-way there. And originally this pay-per-view main event was just supposed to be CM Punk and Jeff Hardy, but within the interim period I've decided that it's either going to be a triple threat or a four-way, and we're going to find out that. But a decent segment, these two guys improvising well, working well in this segment, and again hopefully playing off that real life animosity that they have, and presumably the real life chip on the shoulder of CM Punk. The fifth match of the night falls upon something from last week. We had a 3-on-3 match where Roderick Strong and the Young Bucks defeated the Motor City Machine Guns and Colt Cabana. This time it is a 5-on-5. It has great heat and good wrestling and is an okay match, but I think it is somewhat limited by the fact that we just have this go to a no contest. We're trying to put across this 5-on-5 gang warfare as being just that, completely out of control, as a lot of this company seems to be at the minute. And while it only goes 6 minutes and 31, the tensions of Kevin Steen on the outside trying to get to El Generico, the Young Bucks, everybody involved, very, very highly strung and highly motivated to get their hands on each other, and the referee ultimately loses control. A good note for Bryan Danielson there, who stands head and shoulders above everybody else, and the post-match segment is just the brawl continuing, spilling now out of the ring, out of the ringside area, and throughout the entire building. It is complete chaos as 10 men are going back and forth. It's clear that no amount of Impact Wrestling staff or security can keep this situation under control, and we're basically just going to have to let them fight until they're no longer in the way for the show to continue. The commentators thankfully are able to send to a commercial break, and they'll say that we'll be back just as soon as a lid is put on this ongoing situation. We then get a video package which allows us a little bit more time to get that under control, as the latest happenings from the Super X Cup are relayed. There were victories for Rocky Romero, Fergal Devitt, Ricochet and Pac, and this week's Evolve Wrestling will see the final 8 of the tournament take place. The following matches are scheduled: Pac v Ricochet, which 2012 would have been an absolute high-flying maybe spot fest, but a very, very entertaining match. Extreme Tiger versus Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi versus TJ Perkins, and Fergal Devitt versus Rocky Romero. And if you've watched the Super X Cut video, you know exactly how that went. If not, feel free to go back, or you can just wait till next week where we'll see those results replayed. The Kings of Wrestling then come down to the ring, and Chris Hero is talking about Austin Aries coming out in the main event last week and dropping him on his head. That cost the Kings of Wrestling their first time ever match against the American Wolves, the first time ever in Impact Wrestling, I should say. Hero knows that Aries won't come out alone, so he's got Claudio with him, but he's calling him out right now. He wants this to be between Hero and Aries, but we know that's not going to be the case, as he is joined by Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. Aries, once in the ring, is challenged by Hero to face him next week on Impact Wrestling, and since they're here, he gives the American Wolves the heads up that whenever they want to fight them again, they want a rematch, and they want it without Austin Aries getting involved. If they're truly the best tag team on the planet, like they like to tell people that they are, they'll have absolutely no issue with fighting them, surely. We don't get an answer from that, as Austin Aries says that he thinks that a one-on-one with Chris is a great idea, but actually, yeah, the Kings versus the Wolves, that would also be great. He wonders if there's a way that they can kill two birds with one stone, and even Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards aren't sure where he's going with this, until he suggests next week, how about Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli face the American Wolves and Austin Aries? They're clearly desperate to get their hands on all three of them, so why not do that all at once? The Kings are initially unsure, but Claudio kind of gives a bit of a pep talk to Hero, and he agrees. They'll agree to the match, and it's going to be a 3-on-2 handicap match. So the New Age of Honor guys trying to play things into their favour there, but the Kings of Wrestling are not going to back down from a challenge. And again, a really good segment overall with everybody improvising and doing well. No negative notes, so very, very happy with that. We then go to Steve Corino in the back being interviewed by Jeremy Borash. I'm again pleasantly surprised by the rating for this segment. Steve Corino working well without a script. He's obviously a fantastic promo guy, but sometimes with the popularity and other things in mods, you don't necessarily get the results that you'd like to see. So very happy with that, as he is asked by Jeremy Borash how he feels about stepping in the ring with Tyler Black tonight. Corino questions JB's tone. He thinks that there's an implication that he should be afraid, but he has no fear about sharing the ring with a one-eyed man. He reminds everybody that he was responsible for that, and he doesn't need to prove himself to anybody. His resume speaks volumes. However, for those less educated members of the Impact Wrestling audience, he's had a little video package put together by the guys in the truck to show just what Steve Corino is capable of and how sadistic of a man he is. The video package then airs, showing footage from Steve Corino's Ring of Honor days, and he was a big part of that company and had some big moments, so we see the brutality that he is capable of inflicting on other people. Don't think just because Steve Corino walks around in a suit and tie now and does a lot more speaking than he does fighting, that person still isn't in there, and that's why I think that this makes for a very, very interesting main event match. Before then, however, Hamada defeats Daffney in 3 minutes and 56 with a rope hung cutter, a 59 from Hamada, as we continue to try and build her to this match with Gail Kim at Destination X, and Larry Sweeney joins the victorious woman in the ring, suggesting that she continues the beatdown of Daffney after the bell. As Hamada picks Daffney up to do just that, Gail Kim runs down to the ring, Hamada throwing Daffney to the outside and going nose to nose with Gail Kim. The two of these will go face to face at Destination X, and Hamada pushes Gail away. Kim pushes her back. There's a little bit of a jostle between the two, but no further physicality as tensions run high, and the champion and challenger, the two best booked women in Impact Wrestling across these first 3 months, will go one-on-one, and we're trying to make this feel like a really, really big match, and more importantly, a legitimate, serious challenge that puts Gail Kim's Knockouts Championship reign under threat. The commentators then introduce a pre-recorded segment which features sit-down interviews with both Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. Earlier this week, Mike Tenay travelled to both of their homes and spoke with them. He speaks with Shelton Benjamin first, and the main concern is an update on his condition. Shelton says that as long as he's able to make it to the ring next Sunday, even if it means he's walking down on a crutch, he's ready to fight. Mike then looks to get to the bottom of why Charlie Haas turned his back on Shelton Benjamin in the first place, and he's suggesting that Shelton became weak. He was more concerned with handshakes and friendships, respect, than he was about winning matches and, more importantly, winning tag team championships. He's disgusted that in all the time that they've been in this company associated with this promotion, they've never become the tag team champions, and that's not Charlie Haas's fault. That is 100% down to Shelton Benjamin. When they lost at the pay-per-view, Haas realised that, quite simply, it was never going to happen, because for him, wrestling's greatest was never just a nickname. But for Shelton Benjamin, he doesn't seem to be taking that quite so seriously. In the last few months, he's seen Shelton lose the hunger for them to be the best tag team in the world. His only crime is his unwillingness to be second best to anybody. At the pay-per-view, it's going to be a submissions match, the only way to prove which one of them is the better man. Not the fluke like Shelton Benjamin got 2 weeks on this show. A fight where one man has to either tap on the mat or say, "I give up." Charlie Haas is going to prove why he, and he alone, is wrestling's greatest. So a decent segment again, building to this pay-per-view match, a storyline that I'm really enjoying, and a match that I'm really looking forward to taking place. We then get the main event. It is 11 minutes and 38, and Steve Corino puts in an okay performance, but he's carried by Tyler Black, who does ultimately pick up the victory. We went for Steal the Show, so the booking note seems to have given us a little bit of a boost as well. Tyler Black has a gimmick that's getting stale, something worth looking at, but the idea is that Steve Corino gets quite a bit more offense in than he probably should, because Tyler Black is only working with one eye, but Black is resilient. He refuses to give up, and with a blackout stomp is able to pick up the 1, 2, 3. As Tyler Black has his arm raised in the ring, he half expects an appearance of Aries or maybe the American Wolves. It is instead Jimmy Jacobs who tentatively makes his way to the ring. Black looks confused as Jacobs' body language appears almost apologetic, a complete shift in demeanour from Jacobs the previous weeks. When Jacobs enters the ring, he makes it clear to Tyler that he wants no trouble. So Black finally has Jimmy Jacobs one-on-one in a ring, and just something, while he doesn't trust his former mentor, there's something there that stops him from just tearing the man apart, whatever that is. Jimmy Jacobs, we know, is a very manipulative and persuasive man, and he is somehow able to stop Tyler Black from reacting. And once the two men are sort of staring at each other awkwardly in the ring, Jacobs outstretches his arms. He wants to hug Tyler Black. He wants all to be forgiven. He's promising that he will put this in the past. He forgives Tyler. Tyler needs to forgive him. The commentator's wondering what the hell's going on, what's come over him, what's changed in the last 7 days. And at this point, it's been a couple of minutes. Steve Corino is able to return to his feet. He's still groggy, but he's kind of seen what's going on. He shoves Jimmy Jacobs, asking him what the hell he thinks he's doing. He needs to leave with him. They're working together, and they are against Tyler Black. They're against the Kings of Wrestling. What the hell is he thinking, trying to hug him? Black quickly gets rid of Steve Corino once again, to be fair, with a punch to the face, but still doesn't know what to make of Jimmy Jacobs' gesture. Having waited weeks to be in the ring alone with Jacobs, Tyler instead walks off, looking uncertain as everybody else about what has just happened. And it's the mind games, it's the intelligence, you could call it, of Jimmy Jacobs to, at least for one more week, have weaseled his way out of that beating. I'm really happy with the 85 overall rating. It's helped massively, of course, by that opening segment, but I think we had a lot of good stuff throughout the show in terms of ratings, and I think we've done a good job of ticking things over and keeping the build strong to Destination X. I always look forward to go-home shows, and that will be the next episode. So got some good plans for that. I think that's going to be another really good and really highly rated show. We've promoted and confirmed a few matches for that as well. We've got Mickie James v Velvet Sky. We've got the Kings of Wrestling in a 3-on-2 handicap match. We've got another match with AJ Styles and Jay Lethal. So all sorts going on there. Good news there. We really struck gold with the show. It's been excellent. Oh, probably the number one headline that I should have noticed. I didn't actually know we were that close to this. I think I set myself a target to do it in like 6 months. I don't know if I ever said that on a video, but that was the idea. So I'm quite impressed that we've been able to do that so quickly. Yeah, so it's been 2 years and 3 months nearly, but we've finally moved up to big size. So that is, I'm really, really happy with that. Obviously, a lot of playing TEW is sort of the stuff that you'd put in your own head. The story of progress is really through your storylines, whatever, but it's actually nice sometimes to just have the game recognize that you have been putting on good shows and have been improving. I'm going to delete this message, but I'll keep this one just so that I know what's going on, and hopefully once we're out of that warming up phase, we don't have any issues. Shelton Benjamin thinks that Sarita is charismatic. That's cool to see. Chris Hero slagging off Jay Briscoe. Bit out of order. I completely disagree with him, to be fair there. We get another good episode rating. I think that's, again, going to be somewhere near our top viewed shows. Yeah, so that's our best show yet. Perfect timing for us now to be growing to another level. And perhaps I've been trying to think about why these last few episodes of Impact Wrestling have been getting more viewers on Spike TV. Perhaps rumours circulating of things going on in the MMA world. I don't know if anybody remembers what was happening around this time, but perhaps there's some rumours about somebody who may be showing up in Impact Wrestling in the near future. I couldn't possibly say any more than that though. But you want to stay tuned because I promise really, really big things are coming for this save. I'm just not willing yet to say when. Thank you for watching this episode, and hopefully you will join me again next time for this show. Cheers. I'll see you again.